Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. Today I'm going to be going over my NFL Week 3 power rankings, going from 32 to 1. Let's get into it. After an interesting week of football from 3 Thursday games on Thanksgiving, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving, and even the first ever NFL Black Friday game on Friday, the day after, and then games throughout Sunday Night Football, and Monday Night Football. It was a good week of football, and we're going to be not recapping this week, but we're going to be going over my power rankings going into the new week, which starts Thursday when the Cowboys and Seahawks face off on Thursday Night Football in Dallas. So let's get into it. Starting off with 32, this should be no surprise. Carolina Panthers at 32, worst record in football, just fired their head coach. 31, I have the New England Patriots. They're at 31, and they're the second worst team in football. 30, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Last week they're at 30. So the bottom three does not change at all. At 29, I have the Commanders. Last week at 26, they lost like 45-10 to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I know it's the Cowboys, but you got blown out on Thanksgiving like that. That's embarrassing. And you're also 4-8. It's not looking good for the Commanders. They made a bunch of coach changes to their coaching staff. They fired their defensive coordinator and fired somebody else, I believe. At 28, I have the Chicago Bears. Last week, I had them at 29. I mean, key mistakes from the Vikings offense is the reason why they won. Although the Bears did have good game. Justin had a really solid game on Monday Night Football. I got the Bears moving up one spot here at 28. Last week, I had them at 29. At 27, I had the New York Jets. Last week, they're at 25. They lost to the Dolphins, but I mean, at this point, the Jets, I feel bad for the Jets and their fans. I mean, Tim Boyle starting at quarterback, so I'm not going to take a big hate on them, but it's bad. 26, I have the Tennessee Titans. Last week, they were at 27. Yeah, solid win, and that's why I'm going to jump them up one spot. But really, you beat the Panthers. 25, I have the New York Giants. Last week, had them at 28. Beat the Patriots. I know I just said beat the Panthers, big deal. But the Giants have been playing decent football over the last two games. It's like the difference with the Titans is that was one win for them. This is 2 wins in a row now for the Giants, beating the Commanders and the Patriots. And Tommy DeVito is playing good football. I think that's another thing. It's like Will Levis, watching him, he's doing okay, but Tommy DeVito is playing way better football than him right now. And just looking at the last two games, and I like the way this Giants team is playing right now. They're going into the bye, and I think they'll have a chance to get another win, a third straight win at home against the Packers. But the Packers are a hot team right now, so that will be a hard win to get for sure, as the Packers team has won 3 in a row. All right, then or 2 in a row, I believe. And then at 24, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last week at 20, lost to the Colts this week by 7. At 23, staying at the same spot, I have the Chargers. I know the Chargers are 4-7, but they lost to the Ravens. At 22, I have the Rams. Last week at 22, they won. They played a good game. Stafford was lights out, but they beat the Cardinals. 21, I have the Saints. Last week at 17, terrible loss for the Saints. This was a great chance for them to keep control of the NFC South, and they couldn't do it and lost by 9 on the road against the Falcons. At 20, I have the Raiders. Previously at 19, I'm not taking a big hate on a big hate on the Raiders this week, just because of the fact that they were up 14-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs, and played a competitive game with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's a good game from the Raiders, and I thought Aiden O'Connell looked pretty solid, and so did Josh Jacobs. At 19, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Last week had them at 16. I mean, I know it's Joe Burrow's out for the season. It's going to be tough for the rest of the road for them. They're not going to make it to playoffs, and we'll see what happens with them with Jake Browning as the starting quarterback. He didn't look terrible against the Steelers, but he didn't look great. All right, then you have at 18, I have the Packers. Last week at 21, great Thanksgiving win for them over the Lions, 29-22. At 17, I'm taking a huge jump. I had the Falcons last week at 24, at 5-6. At 16, I had the Vikings last week at 15. There's some of these teams. I know the Vikings had a terrible loss last night against the Bears, and that was a terrible game for them. But there's not many teams I can put over the Vikings. The Packers you can consider, but the Vikings have already beat the Packers. The Falcons, I don't think so. The Bengals, yeah, maybe. The Raiders, probably not. So, or the Rams, maybe. I just don't think there's a lot of teams you can put over the Vikings right now. That's why I don't have them taking a huge fall. At 15, I have the Colts. Previously had them at 18. They're playing good football right now. They won 4 straight or 3 straight, whatever it is. 14, I have the Bills. Last week had 11. Tough loss for them in overtime against the Eagles. 13, I have the Seahawks. Last week had them at 12. They lost to the 49ers on Thanksgiving, so it's a tough loss, and they've been losing recently, and they've not been playing the best football, but they lost to the 49ers, who seems to be very back. At 12, I have the Houston Texans. Last week at 9. The Texans did lose the Jags. With the Jags, they're a great team, and the Texans competed with the Jaguars. Last week I had the Texans at 9. I'm a Texans fan, so I am going to keep believing in them. At 11, I have the Browns. Last week at 8. Tough loss to the Broncos, and that's the next team we're going to be going over. At 10, I have the Denver Broncos. I never would have thought at 1-5 the Broncos in 5 games later would find themselves in the top 10, but the Broncos, I have them at 10, and last week they were at 14. At 9, I have the Steelers. Last week at 13. I like this for the Steelers. They're playing great football. Kenny Pickett just had one of his best games as a Steeler. That's not the only thing. They look more alive with Matt Canada gone. I love this new Steelers, the new look team with Matt Canada gone. It just feels like a different environment. At 8, I have the Lions, previously 2. I hate to take such a fall on the Lions, but look at all the other teams that are going to be set in the top 7. I really don't know if I could put the Lions over any of those teams when they just lost to a 4-6 Packers team on Thanksgiving. Let's go over it, what the next 7 look like. 7, I have the Dolphins. Last week had them at 7. At 6, I have the Jaguars. Last week at 10. At 5, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Last week they were at 4. At 4, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Last week we're at 6. At 3, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Last week we're at 5. And at 2, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Last week we're at 3. At 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Last week we're at 1. So I just don't know if the Lions, number 8, I can't see. I hate to give them such a drop, but they lost and played bad at home on Thanksgiving against a 4-6 team. And all these other teams in this top 7 are playing great football right now. So, yeah, use them your thoughts in the comment section. And let me know your thoughts on my power rankings in the comment section. And peace out.